As the United States reaches its 250th anniversary, the shared reality of its citizens is increasingly mediated by automated systems. In the early republic, ideas spread through print. Documents like the Common Sense pamphlet provided a physical, verifiable baseline for debate. Communication was slow, but it happened in a public space where narratives were shared and scrutinized. The mid-20th century shifted to centralized television signals. Professional editors and network executives acted as visible gatekeepers, curating a uniform broadcast for a mass audience. The internet arrived with a promise to remove these barriers, allowing individual voices to bypass traditional institutions and connect directly with one another. But the sheer volume of digital content quickly made human curation impossible. To manage the flood, platforms turned to machine learning algorithms to filter and sequence what every user sees. This move from visible human editors to opaque algorithms changes how citizens perceive the world. Control over the public narrative has moved from people to code. Technology companies often describe their platforms as neutral conduits, modern public squares where ideas compete freely. Algorithmic gatekeeping involves code determining the visibility, framing, and salience of information. The system selects which stories reach the electorate and which remain invisible. This diagram illustrates the shift in how information flows. On the left, a single broadcast reaches everyone. On the right, that shared experience is replaced by millions of individualized feeds, each routed through a central black box. The core logic of the black box operates on a single metric, engagement. Optimizing for engagement serves the needs of data capitalism, but it fragments the shared informational landscape required for a functioning democracy. This ecosystem relies on specific raw material, human attention. To capture that attention, platforms record every interaction. They track click rates, scroll speeds, and the exact moment a user pauses on a specific post. These signals are synthesized into psychographic profiles. The algorithm maps a user's cognitive dispositions and ideological vulnerabilities with mathematical precision. This data powers the business model. Platforms provide free access to services while selling behavioral insights to advertisers through real-time bidding systems. The algorithm has a specific objective: maximize user retention. On these platforms, more time spent on screen leads directly to higher advertising revenue. These are economic engines. They are engineered to monopolize attention, and they are indifferent to truth or civic duty. To find the most effective way to keep users on the platform, the algorithm runs continuous tests on their behavior. The data shows that high arousal emotions such as moral outrage and fear generate the strongest engagement. This discovery creates a feedback loop. The system prioritizes provocative material to maintain the user's state of arousal, pushing nuanced information to the margins. Sustained exposure to these triggers leads to affective polarization. Citizens begin to view political opposition as an existential threat. Political campaigns have adapted to this architecture. They design messaging specifically to trigger these emotional responses and secure algorithmic amplification. In this environment, outrage becomes the currency required for visibility. By rewarding conflict, the algorithm's design changes the nature of the public sphere, moving it away from deliberation and toward constant friction. These dynamics scale up to affect millions of users. Users are systematically insulated from dissenting views. They are grouped into isolated clusters where their pre-existing beliefs are continuously reinforced. These algorithmic walls replace the idea of a shared public with hyper-individualized realities. Society experiences epistemic fragmentation. Without a common informational landscape, different groups no longer agree on a baseline of verifiable facts. Misinformation becomes nearly impossible to stop in this topology. A false claim can multiply within a sealed loop, protected from any outside correction. This fragmentation erodes public trust. Institutions and media outlets are viewed with suspicion by those inside these sealed environments. This makes legislative action and consensus building difficult, as opposing sides cannot agree on the basic nature of the problems they face. Modern legislative paralysis is the structural result of citizens inhabiting incompatible realities engineered by code. The algorithms are the product of the corporate entities that design and deploy them. Major technology firms in Silicon Valley now control the infrastructure of public information. These companies exercise quasi-sovereign authority, setting the rules for global discourse outside the reach of traditional government frameworks. The proprietary nature of these systems acts as a shield. It prevents the public and regulatory bodies from seeing how information is being prioritized. Private corporations hold detailed behavioral data on the electorate, while the electorate sees very little of the internal corporate process. The public sphere is currently built on an infrastructure owned by unaccountable private monopolies, driven by market logic. Responding to this challenge requires more than individual media literacy. It requires structural change. One solution is a mandate for algorithmic transparency, allowing the public to see the rules governing the information they consume. Designers are experimenting with cross-cutting exposure. These systems are programmed to inject diverse viewpoints into user feeds, bridging isolated networks. Moving away from engagement-only optimization could help reestablish a shared, deliberative space for public conversation. New ethical frameworks for AI can prioritize pluralism and accuracy over raw clicks. Democracy has the capacity to adapt, provided it governs the technologies that shape it. If the American democratic experiment is to thrive, it must reclaim authority from instrumentalized algorithms. Artificial intelligence must be used to support collective freedom rather than